spoken. And being frustrated with the term cloud computing, to mean so many different things. In fact, a lot of technologies more than a decade old have been reborn and rebranded cloud computing. And I find it confusing. I think a lot of people find it confusing. So I think what I'd like to do today to start this presentation is try to come up with a definition we can agree upon. At least it's Oracle's definition for cloud computing. And all of you are free to have your own definition. It's just useful if you understand what we define cloud computing to be. Because then you'll understand when Oracle says we think this is cloud computing, we think this is not. Next slide, please. All right, the first question is cloud computing. Is it something new, relatively new and innovative? Or is it something that's been around more than a decade? Is it something old or something new? Is it rebranding and rebirth or true innovation? Is it an application program that runs on the internet? Any application that runs on the internet, is that cloud computing? Or rather, is it a platform for building any and all of your applications? So is it an application? Or is it something upon which you build lots of different types of applications? And again, I'll point out people call both of those things cloud computing. In fact, maybe the two most well-known examples of cloud computing represent the opposite spectrums of what's meant by cloud computing. One is Salesforce.com, which has been around a very long time, a very successful application on the internet. And a lot of people call that cloud computing. It's an application on the internet. You don't run it on your computer, rather you access the application on the web. Is that cloud computing? Or is it Amazon EC2? Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. Now, the term cloud computing was popularized, in fact, came into popular existence with the invention and the release of Amazon EC2. And again, it stands in stark contrast to Salesforce.com because it's not an application at all. It's a platform upon which you build applications. And it's relatively new. Very different than Salesforce.com. Next slide. All right, what is Amazon EC2? Amazon was the company that really popularized the term cloud computing. It's a platform. It's a platform for building applications, and it's a platform for running applications. It includes both hardware and software. And the software is all standards-based. It includes things like Linux and Java, Oracle, MySQL. You can build virtually any application on Amazon EC2, on, if you will, the cloud. The technology is virtualized. In other words, when you use the cloud, you get some number of dedicated virtual machines for your use, for the use of your company, for the use of your application. That's how they partition up the cloud. They partition up the cloud by giving you some number of virtual machines. If your virtual machine should fail, no problem. You're running in one virtual environment, you really don't impact any other virtual environment. In other words, faults are isolated because all customers and their applications are running in separate virtual environments. So you're protected if one guy's VM is overloaded or one guy's VM goes down. You're protected because your environment is isolated. It's separate. It's in its own virtual machine or pool of virtual machines. It's elastic. In fact, Amazon thought elasticity was so important, it put it in the name of their offering, the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. And all this means is, as you need more computing resources, you get them. You can easily add more servers or more virtual machines, to be more precise. As you need capacity, as you need compute capacity, you get it. Additional servers, You get it dynamically. If you don't need that additional capacity, you free up those virtual machines and those resources and put it back into the pool so other people can use it. And you only pay for what you use, the VMs and the resources that you use. That's Amazon's elastic compute cloud. That's what really gave rise to the term cloud computing. It's a platform for building applications. It's elastic, it's virtual, and you only pay for what you use. Next slide, please. Okay, Salesforce.com. It's really one or two applications on the internet. It's a Salesforce automation application. It's a service automation application. And they do have a bit of a platform, it's proprietary, for doing little add-ons or little interfaces to Salesforce's applications. But it's really not a platform. Primarily, it's these two applications on the internet. It is not virtualized. In fact, just the opposite. Hundreds, thousands of customers commingle their data in the same exact database. So General Electric's data, if General Electric uses it, is right next to Siemens' data, is right next to HP's data, is right next to whoever uses it. All the data is commingled in the same database. It's really a very weak security model. If that database goes down, by the way, all those customers go down. There's no isolation by virtualization. There is no virtualization. It's not fault tolerant. It's not secure. And it's not elastic. If there's more demand, as demand increases on the Amazon Compute Cloud, you get more VMs, you get more servers. If demand increases on Salesforce.com, you'd better reduce demand. And they do. They have people going around checking for reports that are consuming too much resources and they kill the reports. Or someone's loading a lot of data and that's consuming too much resources and they killed the data lake. Because they don't want to hurt performance of different customers. Because the customers, they can't dynamically add additional VMs because it's not virtualized. It's not elastic. And it's priced not based on usage, but based on number of users. You count up your number of users and you pay them for a year for that many users, and if you get more users, you pay them for more users. So if you want to call this cloud computing, please do. But please understand that it's very different than the elastic compute cloud from Amazon. These are very different things. A virtualized elastic computing platform versus an application on the internet. Both called cloud computing. Again, I don't really care what people call it, as long as they understand these are two very different things. Next slide, please. Needless to say, Oracle agrees with Amazon.com. Our definition of cloud computing is identical to theirs. We believe it's a platform. We believe on that platform you run standard-based software, a wide variety of software. Databases and application development tools, a variety of guest operating systems running on the virtual machines. It's a comprehensive development and execution environment that could run virtually all of your applications. It must be virtualized. It must be elastic. It includes both hardware and software. And we have a slightly different take than Amazon.com in that we believe that not only are these clouds going to be publicly available to lots of different customers, but we think individual customers will build their own private clouds behind their firewalls. And we call those clouds also. So we think customers will have virtualized, elastic compute platforms behind their firewall for the use of that company and that company alone. It's still a cloud. It's not a public cloud. It's a private cloud. Besides its location in the firewall, everything else is identical between the public cloud and the private cloud. The software technology is identical. The hardware technology is identical. Next slide, please. So you decide. Cute little comment.